Well, it was breaking news over the weekend, but I did want to recap it today. Georgia taking over the number one spot in the consensus recruiting rankings. Number one taking it over from SC. They're probably going to go back and forth. This was as a result of Georgia's commitment over the weekend from Anthony Lennon from Clark Central here in Athens, and I think it's not terribly surprising. And if you've been on here long enough, you know that I've been talking about how Georgia's going to grab this spot at some point. They did that over the weekend, and it's really not, shocking. I think that the way that Georgia has recruited, what SC has done has been pretty good, but Georgia has caught up to them because the amount of recruits are the same now, or right on top of it, and that's the biggest thing. Is SC had such a large lead in terms of players, and now Georgia's caught them. And I think the question becomes from here on out, is anybody going to catch the Dogs? SC certainly can. I don't know if like Alabama or A&M or Notre Dame, Texas, Oregon, SC, LSU, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee. I'm not sure if they're going to have enough sort of space to grab more guys and get there. Alabama is probably the one that has the best opportunity. Texas as well, because they have 10 fewer commits. But in both of those cases, they already have several 5-stars, and so that's part of the challenge for them. Is it's you're out where you're at, but you've got to make up some players. So that's going to be tricky. Florida, not in the top 10. That's a problem if you're the Gators. Tennessee narrowly in the top 10. That's a problem. But Georgia's peers now are Ohio State, Texas, Alabama. I think it's that group. And I don't know. For such a long period of time, Georgia's main focus, of course, has been beating their rivals, Auburn, Florida, and Georgia Tech. But they've entered into a new, and this is some time ago, they've entered into a new pantheon of college football. There's a small select group at the top, and Georgia is one of those groups. I want to give you an opportunity to get a small select group. This is just the sales from yesterday. These are folks who are taking advantage of this 3-month deal that we've got. You get 3 months for the price of one, and you get the magazine included for free. I'm going to the post office after this, so a lot of people are taking advantage of this, and as a result, I am going very low on these magazines. Take advantage of this before I have to pull the offer. You get 3 months of Dawg posts and the magazine for $15. That's 3 months for the price of one, and we throw the magazine in for free. Take advantage today. I've got this the code on the screen and down below. No excuse not to take advantage while you can. You're going to get great stuff like what we're hearing, which that was a very well-read article yesterday. A few thousand people. And more than a few thousand at this point. But, Dawg Post is you got to have it during the season, and this is a great way to jump on board. For the Dogs being the number one class, again, I think it comes down to, are they going to hold off Alabama and Texas? What is SC going to do from here on out? What is left out there for Georgia? That's what I always get asked by a couple people. What's left out there is that you could have some jiggling of the class. That's always possible. You could have some guys who Georgia missed out on come back into the fold. Remember Jared Curtis, the sort of linchpin of this class. He left this class and came back. So there's a lot of maneuvering you can still do. But this is a really, needless to say, deep class. Now, right now you have only, by my count, 7 top 100 guys in this class. So that's good. They've been deeper in the past on that front, but just a very, a lot of top 200 kids. But what's going to make the difference at the end of the day is, Kirby and company getting a hold of this group, making sure that this group not just gets to Georgia, but develops over time. It's okay if you get, sort of 5-star guys that don't, that are not 5-star players, Brandon Miller or CJ Bird. those guys were multi-year starters. Were they 5-star college players? No, they were not. Tim Tebow or Aaron Murray or Stetson Bennett. They were not. But for every one of those, you need an exceptional player to come along that you did not necessarily expect. A.D. Mitchell, Ladd McConkey, guys like that. Jared Wilson, I guess I would say to some degree, maybe not on that same level as those guys, but guys who are going to be, that you need the guys that you think are going to be special, like Malachi Starks, to be special. And Malachi had a great 3 years at Georgia. It's an exceptional run for him. We've got later this week, we've got Mike Bobo, Glenn Schumann. We've got the coordinators coming up. We'll have that for you later this week and have some reaction to that. This Georgia team and program is getting ready for a season where they are one of the favorites to win the national championship. I think Texas, to me, is I don't think there's a clear favorite, but they have been sort of consistently at the top of the betting markets. So to me, that makes, that matters to some degree at least, if not a fair amount. Now, I'll say this. The betting favorite has not won the national championship in an extended period of time in college football. The group at the top right now, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, and Penn State, are all separated pretty narrowly by about 100 points between Georgia and Texas, and then another 100 after that for Penn State. So Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia are, Texas is the slight favorite, but not, this first weekend, whoever wins Texas, Ohio State will probably become the favorite. It will be curious to see what happens over time in terms of what does the Clemson LSU game mean or matter. What about Alabama? How do they look? At the end of September, we will know a lot about Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Texas, and maybe some other teams too. But that. Penn State, I don't think, is playing a legitimate game for a while this season. It's kind of rough. But at the end of September, they do play Oregon. So by the end of September, we will really know a fair amount. But, boy, you're opening up with Nevada. Then you host Florida International. And then you host Villanova. That is just not competitive at all. And for all of the chest thumping from the Big Ten about 9 games, that's an embarrassing out-of-conference schedule. In the SEC, they're playing 8 games, but they're required to play yet another game. Georgia is always playing Georgia Tech. A season ago, they added Clemson to that. It's got to be better than this. Kudos to Ohio State and Texas. They're doing what Georgia has done in the recent past, which is schedule a difficult first game. Georgia's won all of those lately, and Ohio State played Notre Dame on the road. But this Penn State, that's rough, man. That's a rough looking thing. But what will come down to it for Penn State and everybody else is how do you play when you got to win? And this schedule besides Oregon and Ohio State is I would call it very friendly to Penn State. Nevada, Florida International, Villanova. You play Oregon at home, and you got to go to LA a week later. That is not fun. To play UCLA, but UCLA sucks. And you host Northwestern, and then you go to Iowa. It's just not a lot of tricky games. And a week off before Ohio State, and then you coast on in at the end. You host Indiana. Don't give me any grief about Indiana. And then you go to Michigan State, host Nebraska, and go to Rutgers. Nebraska's going to have to be noticeably better to challenge anybody in the Big Ten. I don't see it. But we'll see. Raiola needs more help than he's got. And then he's got to play better, too. It's all of these things. But this is a time for Georgia with this number 1 class for now to sort of press on the accelerator, go into the 25 season. There's a lot of stuff we're talking about over on Dawg Post. Don't miss out on this awesome offer. How you're setting the 27 class up now, how this rest of the summer as well as, the fall, that will be as much about the 27 class in recruiting as anything else. Kirby and Georgia have earned the number 1 spot. They missed out on some guys too. And they're going to have to hold on to the number 1 spot. We'll see if they can do that. But this is a really good class. It's a deep class. Not as deep as we've seen completely, but a deep class nonetheless. Take advantage of this offer while you can. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.